Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is Speedify Live Office Hours. I'm Alex Gizis. This is Kevin Cunningham.
Hello.
And we are here to answer your questions. This is your chance to talk to the people who made Speedify. And we can tell you all about it. So we're live. We see your comments and stuff. So if you have questions, you just post them underneath and we'll answer them. So, hey, Roy. Hey, Marb. Not going to go around saying hi to everyone and post a hello. But if you ask a real question, we'll answer it. So what is Speedify, Kevin?
So Speedify is an app that runs on all your different devices, Android and iOS and Mac and Windows and Linux. And it allows you to combine multiple internet connections. So meaning combine them for more speed, for more reliability, really just improve your internet experience. So, on your phones, for example, you have your Wi-Fi and you can have a cellular connection at the same time, and Speedify can make use of both of those. And so it works by being a VPN. So everything's also encrypted, ends up going through a server on the internet. And that's how we can do all this bonding magic to make everything better for you.
And so what is this pair and share thing that we've added to Speedify recently?
Pair and share is a new feature that we added that allows people to share, primarily first share cellular connections between devices. So when you have multiple people running Speedify on different devices, they can share internet connections back and forth with each other over a local network or a common network that they have. So this is really useful if you have a bunch of phones that each have cellular connections. They can share their cellular connections with each other. So each device can make use of all the different cellular connections. So it's a convenient way to get more internet connections, which sometimes is a problem for people running Speedify. How do I get more internet connections? You can make use of more internet connections for other people around you running Speedify.
Okay. All right. We have some questions coming in. Why does Speedify not work with Netflix? I mean, it does work with Netflix. It's just that Netflix is, trying to enforce their intellectual property agreements with different studios. And so if they detect that you're using software like Speedify, they will only show you movies if you don't bypass it, and shows that they have the right to show worldwide, which turns out to be a lot of them. I mean, all of Stranger Things and stuff is on there. But some of the stuff that's region locked for your area, they hide away. Now you can bypass Netflix, and then Speedify will let it go straight out your Wi-Fi, but then you don't get the benefits of bonding. Anything to add there?
No,
Okay.
I think you covered it. Yeah.
All right. Roy has a question about pair and share. I've been able to pair and share 2 phones connected to a Boost Mobile hotspot device. Question: if I use my Boost Mobile data, will pair and share still work between the phones?
Yes, yeah. As long as the router part is still working and they can do local communication, even if there's no internet connection there, the devices just need to be able to talk to each other locally. So yeah, you should be able to still use pair and share with the internet connections they have.
All right. That's like the BBC. You cannot get into any shows unless you buy a license, but I've not tried with yours yet. Yeah, I don't know. It's a game of cat and mouse. Sometimes the BBC works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. I mean, feel like Netflix. I kind of appreciate how straight up they are. Like, can't tell where you really are. We just show you the stuff with the worldwide, and there's plenty of worldwide stuff. But I don't know.
Yeah, I guess with things like the BBC, where they're more locked to one specific region, that they just want to prevent stuff. But yeah, we see mixed results with BBC, where sometimes on the same server, even from one day to the next, sometimes it work or won't work, and maybe that's due to how many people are accessing it through that server at a particular time. We hit a limit. I don't know, but yeah, we get mixed reports about BBC stuff.
Would Speedify help with the YouTube ad blocker ban? I don't think so.
No, yeah, we're not doing any ad blocking.
Yeah, it's possible to set Speedify to use the AdGuard DNS server, which blocks some ads, but I think YouTube.
They sound like there's some pretty advanced
I think YouTube
stuff,
beat that one years ago. A lot of news sites, though, load twice as fast once you do that. All those fake articles they put on, the sponsored content doesn't load. So that works pretty well. Yeah, I don't know. And I have to say, this lawsuit or whatever, claiming that banning ad blockers it violates the GDPR, the European privacy laws. Much as I hate the ads as much as the next person, and even actually think that most personalized ads should be banned, I think that lawsuit's complete nonsense. I mean, it's their website. They make money off ads. They, if they want to make sure you see the ads, if you don't like it, you can leave. I don't see how it violates the GDPR at all. Sorry. I do think we should ban personalized ads, actually. But you ban them. It's not the back door. All right. It's been using Speedify for 3 years. Nice.
awesome.
Perhaps you got it at one of our Black Friday sales. There's another Black Friday sale coming up next week. Who knows what it'll be on? Yeah. The ban is annoying. I was just hoping a VPN would somehow work. Yeah. All about the terms and agreement, right? Well, yeah. So Europe is getting tougher, right? About like these nonsense giant terms of service that no one reads that gives away all your rights. No, can't give away all your rights. You have some rights you can't give away, you know. And if you do, that has to be crystal clear. It can't be buried in the text of an agreement that they know no one reads. All right. Why did it only increase my bandwidth for streaming by a very little amount? I tied it to my Ethernet, my Wi-Fi, and my phones as backup. I'll let you take this, Kevin.
All right, so a few things. So one, it's not clear whether your Ethernet and Wi-Fi are the same internet connection, but that'd be my guess, is that they're both leading the same internet connection. So having two connections, the same internet connection, isn't going to give you any more bandwidth. You're still just going to get whatever the bandwidth of your internet connection is. And then if you have your phone as a backup, it's not going to try to bond that in. So if you really wanted to try and use the speed from your phone, you might want to set that as secondary. So don't use it less, but it'll still try and bond it in. And that should hopefully give you some more speed. But yeah, setting the backup, we don't try to bond in the backup connections. We just use those if your primary and secondary connections fail, as a fail safe. So yeah, if you wanted to bond, set it to secondary, and try that. See how that works for you. But yeah, then you might want to consider too setting either the if the Ethernet's good, set the Wi-Fi to backup or something, so that you can just use the Ethernet and the cell phone, and not try and be sending twice over the same internet connection, because that can cause conflicts with each other if you're competing for bandwidth there.
All right. Can Speedify admins track my browsing history? No. We do not know what IP addresses you visit. We do not know what DNS names you look up. We do not know what websites you visit. We do not know what apps you run. We know how much data you used, but that's about it. We
don't track.
We don't track. We don't know what you're doing. There are some automated bits of code in there watching for people doing bad things, and bad could include that your computer is full of a virus. So there's some automated stuff, but it's not telling us about it even. So there you go.
Yeah, and make the clear distinction too. So we have a lot of the, our streaming mode will prioritize traffic from different, video applications and things like that. So that's all on the client side running on your device. We have different rules for checking and detecting that stuff, but that's not reporting it back to us. It's, just locally on your device saying, okay, this looks like a video streaming traffic or something like that. I'm going to prioritize it. It looks important, and it might log things on your device about that, but unless you send us those logs and support, we're not going to see any information about that.
Yeah, that stuff is entirely client side, and so we're not looking at it. We're not feeding some AI with it. I mean, sometimes we come up with great ideas. If we knew what apps you guys were using, we could probably optimize, but we don't know. We don't know it. We can't do it. That's fine. I don't want to know. All right. ISP ads on every website before HTTPS was the norm. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So before websites were all encrypted, like weird internet service providers would actually capture your traffic and add extra ads that they get paid for, not the site owners.
Yeah, I remember the Xfinity Wi-Fi jamming ads and these like big pop-up things over top.
And it slowed down every website, right? Because they basically pulled it up in software, parsed it to put it in, and sometimes they'd screw it up and put the ads in the wrong place, break the HTML, and get a blank page. Like, oh, so terrible. Yeah, just so terrible. All right. All right. So if I have my son and wife's phone, can I also add it? But then they cannot use the phone, I am assuming. Well, with pair and share, they most certainly can use the phone.
Yeah. Traditionally, if you're going to tether their phones and you wanted to hook it into your computer, you would have to take their phones from them and plug it into whatever your computer is. But yeah, with pair and share, if they're on the same local network as you, they could be somewhere else in the house or whatever. You can have them install Speedify, enable the pair and share feature. You can pair with their devices, and then they can share their cellular connection to you over the local Wi-Fi network. and your computer or device running Speedify can use their cellular connection even if they're somewhere else in the house. You don't have to physically have their phone.
All right. Is there a good test to which Speedify server to use other than using the automatic setting? I've noticed manually setting servers was better than using the automatic. That's interesting.
So I guess one, and we'd like to hear where you're located and what specifically was it. Did you find that picking one that wasn't the closest one to you to be better, somewhere further away, unexpected? Because basically we ping a bunch of different servers near where we think you are, and then we check how busy those servers are, and we have a bunch of different things we check to try and determine which one's going to be the best for you. But a couple things can go wrong if we mess up your location and think you're not in the right location. We can end up looking at servers that aren't necessarily close to you. So that's one case that sometimes goes wrong, because we try and look based on your IP address where we think you're located to determine the server selection. But yeah, then there's also some cases where we have servers with different hosting providers, and sometimes one hosting provider may work better than another for your particular internet connection, depending how well it appears with that data center, that hosting provider. And so sometimes manually picking a different one could work better. And then also what you're doing on the internet and where that's located in relation to the server. There's a bunch of different requirements, I guess, that can go into that. So depending what you're doing and where you're located and all that, you might find that picking a different server manually works better for you. And yeah, it depends what you want to do. If we're optimizing based on speed test, or if you have a particular game or service that you're running that you want to try and get lower latency to that can all kind of factor into what you should pick. But yeah, if you can give us more details or even write us at support about when you see it picking the wrong one and what you think is a better one and how you're measuring that'd be helpful. Maybe we could tweak our selection.
All right. Max asks, will we ever be able to host our own dedicated server? I have the server hardware and bandwidth available and would love to do it myself, even if it's like twice the cost. Yeah. Yes, you will be able to. There's a lot going on here. We're trying to get there. Supporting routers kind of came before that. We're going to get there. We're going to support dedicated servers. There's some security things we need to really fix up that we're working on. But right now we're working really hard on really good support for routers. I had said I thought we would support OpenWRT by the end of the year. It's not going to happen. Not because we didn't prioritize it, but because we did. And discovered, in fact, that in some cases we could make Speedify 10 times faster. All kinds of weird cases came out once you put Speedify in a router. You want to talk about this a little bit?
Yeah. So we've been looking at different performance aspects, and particularly as you start getting a router device with lots of connections flowing through it, that kind of changes the behavior versus what we typically see on just a normal device that's maybe running a few apps. So there are lots of different places that we found that we could optimize things or do things a little more efficiently, and kind of lower some of the processing usage, the CPU usage of Speedify, and ultimately make things a lot faster. The next version of Speedify is going to have a lot of different performance improvements and tweaks that I think will affect everybody, even on other devices, particularly ones maybe with lower CPU availability, and not just the router devices, but with improvements for routers as well, which we'll get to at whenever we end up releasing for routers.
All right. If I adjust the priority of a Wi-Fi connection, will that carry over to the other devices paired on that connection?
I'm not sure what you mean. So when you're adjusting the priority of the Wi-Fi connection,
if you take your Wi-Fi connection and make it a backup,
so
you're the people.
So no, you're adjusting the internet speed, or I'm sorry, for that internet connection that your Wi-Fi is, you're saying use that internet connection as backup. But if you're still sharing over the local network, that's going to depend on whatever the priority of your parent share connections are. They can decide to make it secondary or backup for the cellular connection, assuming you're using cellular there. So yeah, it's the priority of how it should use that internet connection. And yeah, maybe I'm not quite understanding what you're asking, but I think that's it. Yeah, it won't carry over to the parent share devices. It's just for that internet connection. And then the other thing is if you're so we have the automatic priority that will look at what Wi-Fi networks you're connected to and automatically adjust the priority. If we think you're connecting to a cellular hotspot or something, or cellular connection, will make it secondary automatically, and other connections will make it primary. But if you manually pick a certain thing, like set your Wi-Fi to backup, then no matter what Wi-Fi you connect to, it's always going to consider it as backup. That kind of overrides that automatic selection. So a lot of times we recommend it, unless you have specific cases where you definitely know you want your Wi-Fi as backup, to leave it on automatic, and we kind of adjust based on what the internet connection is.
All right. David Schroeder says, my VPN is not working.
Did he give us any more details? You can let us know more.
Let us know more.
You can always contact us at support@speedify.com and send us logs or give a screenshot, show us a little more about what's going wrong, and we might be able to better help you there.
All right. Mark says, that's awesome. I so would love to do that. Y'all's product is so good. What kind of routers are you looking at using? Is there any time frame for the hosting? Like Q2 2024. So not quite ready to announce. We have a couple partners. One of whom, Kevin, has this awesome device. One of our partners made that he has in his house. It is so cool, man. I want to show it to you. But yeah, so we're working with some hardware manufacturers, and they are making some really cool devices. And I believe devices will start to ship in the first quarter of 2024. Now, your next question is, well, then when will the self-hosted servers be ready? I actually don't know. Hopefully soon after. I don't know. Hey, Alex, am I able to add domains to bypass on Windows, not seeing it in the UI?
Yes. Yeah, you can. We currently don't expose that in the UI, but there is on the command line, which is available on Windows and Mac and Linux at the desktop platforms. You can get to the CLI, and so in the CLI, there's a I think streaming bypass. If you look at our documentation, there's a PDF that comes installed with Speedify in the same directory that lists all the different commands. But if you look at the commands called Speedify CLI streaming bypass, and there's options to add domains or IPs that you want to have it bypass, you can add them there manually on the command line. At some point, we probably will expose some of that in the user interface as well for people to add their own custom things. But right now, it's just on the command line, not in the user interface.
All right. So we're using Restream Studio. Oh, there we go. That looks better.
Oh, yeah.
Restream Studio. And there's a real problem with when I click a comment to show it on the screen, it draws a blue box over the comment. So you can't see it once you selected it. But it puts on the screen, but until I just stretched the window way out. That was too small. All right. But the window's way stretched out. So TM is asking, most Middle Eastern countries all connect to Marseille, France in fiber. Unfortunately, very few interconnect. During travel, automatic always selected near countries in which the round trip is tripled. I mean, so if you happen to have figured out that that's the so you think connecting to France will give most of these people much better performance? Um, Obviously, you can pick France, right? Um, yeah, some of those maps, it, you know,
The cabling, yeah.
the cabling, right? The way like South America, that the cable runs along the eastern seaboard and then across into Miami. So Miami is like as close to every location in South America as any location in South America is to any other, right? Um, so some tricky things like that. Yeah. Sometimes I think that we should have a like long connect mode, right? Right now we sort of pick the 5 servers that seem like they probably are closest, and we send them each 5 packets, and we manage to figure out what the best server is in 2 seconds. What if sometimes we took 20 seconds and sent 30 packets to each of the top 10? That would probably give much more accurate results.
Yeah, we could probably expand the horizon a little bit of where else we'd look, and yeah. So yeah, we'll keep thinking about that and whether there's other ways we can improve that. But yeah, if you definitely know that there's a good location for you to connect to, then maybe manually picking it is a good one, a good reason to do that. But yeah, we'll see if we can improve that for the future.
All right. What question coming? What is this? Open MPTCP providers okay at best, but your product works much better and is so much more seamless. It's the definition of what bonding should be. So excited for the future of Speedify now. Yeah, an interesting thing about the MPTCP, they they made a try at adding multipath to TCP, but the thing about TCP is it's built into the kernel. So you have to have the whole operating system like change to support it. And that is such a big deal that they're so careful and so slow. And if you find a way to improve it, you say, well, that improvement has to get made in every operating system that supports MPTCP at the same time. There's no like upgrading your app to quickly move to the new version when you figure out some way to do it faster. And I would say that's the real difference. So we just left them in the dust with our new releases every 3 weeks, and the there are a couple different points of view, but that is one valid one, that we were just able to be more agile.
Yeah.
As we got data, we just kept doing new versions of Speedify week after week, fixing the worst thing about it.
Yeah, and there's some cases where TCP isn't the best option or doesn't work. We have options for UDP transport, or unrestricted networks we can do HTTPS, and so some cases having the flexibility to use different transports even across different internet connections can be useful.
And they don't have the cost awareness.
Yeah.
The idea that, by Ethernet's totally free, you can use the cellular for speed boost, but I prefer you don't if the Ethernet's good enough. You can't tell that story, right? It's either go for it, use every connection, or just use it first. All right. Sorry if this has been asked before. In terms of priority on attached devices, primary, secondary, etc., will setting them, for example, 3 cellular hotspots, will Speedify force them to be the same? Speedify, by default, when left on auto priority, looks at the connection type and who the ISP is. And yeah, if it's 3 cellular hotspots, it's in fact going to go through the same logic and set them all to secondary, which are the same priorities. That said, it's not forcing anything. Let's pull up. This is Speedify running on this Mac. Oh, dragging the right window. So this is actually this video stream going through Speedify. I have 3 internet connections: Ethernet to a Comcast modem, Wi-Fi to a Starlink, and a tethered cellular. And if I say, actually I did already. The Starlink is not on automatic. I got annoyed by its unreliability and moved it to secondary. See? So if you don't like the way it did it, if you think, no, I want this one to be used all the time, you could go in here and select primary. So automatic is the one where Speedify, based on ISPs and network types and things like that, decides what it should be, and it's normally pretty good. There was a lot of argument. We went with Starlink as primary. Yeah, more than anything, Starlink with their weird like unlimited usage, but it gets faster and slower so often that, man, if you don't need to use it, don't. Almost made us want to add another category between primary and secondary. So we settled on it being primary. If you think we're wrong and we're using it too much, that's fine with us. Just pop in there and change it to secondary.
Because I think for some people, Starlink is their main connection. That's what they have, and maybe they're supplementing with some cellular connections or something. So they want that to be their primary. But in our case, we have Comcast, which is going to be more potentially a better connection than the Starlink. And the Starlink, sometimes it's really good, and sometimes it's not. And I think it makes sense for us to have it as secondary.
I will say, in answer to these questions, we had a giant fraud issue that we caught, and we're not wrong. All right. Do I need a Raspberry Pi 4 Model B with 4 gigs or 8 gigs for Speedify? Honestly, if all you're doing is Speedify, 2 is enough. I think they may have stopped selling the 2 gigabyte ones, but if you're not running the whole user interface,
depending what else you're running on the Raspberry Pi. Right. But if you're just using a little device to run Speedify, you don't need a ton of RAM.
Yeah, a Raspberry Pi, just running Raspberry Pi OS, Speedify running as a router with the user interface closed, it'll fit under 300 megabytes. Right now, second then you open Chrome on it, and now you could use a couple gigabytes of memory. But yeah, Speedify does not need much. We're tens of megs of memory that we grab for buffers and things. It's not that much. All right. iPhone 12 Pro versus S21 Plus versus iPhone 11 Pro Max. I'm on iPhone 12 Pro, and I'm very happy with it. I have been sucked completely into Apple's walled garden. I now, I have a Mac, and I have an Apple Watch. I'm aware of the issues, but man, this stuff's pretty slick. I mean, the way, from my Mac, I can start the hotspot on my phone without touching the phone. I gotta admit, kind of smooth. So I don't know. My Android phone, I do have an Android phone as a Pixel. I'm happy with it, but it just isn't going to be my primary. Like I said, I've been captured by Apple. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I'm happy with the Pixel phones. That's what I've been doing. I had a Pixel 2 for years, and now I have a Pixel 6, which at this point is a couple years old. I think they just came out with the Pixel 8s. I'm still happy with the Pixel 6, but so I don't necessarily need to have the latest and greatest, but for Android, I'm happy with that. I know some people like the Samsungs, but I haven't used them in years.
Raspberry Pi 5 update. Yes. So my Pi Hut shipped me my Raspberry Pi 5 a week ago from the UK. I checked the update on the shipping, and it has somehow made it to Germany. Other people, when I complained about this on Mastodon, other people chimed in and told me, yeah, it takes 10 days for Pi Hut to get a Raspberry Pi to the US somehow. All right. Appreciate the info, guys. Was about to buy a Pep Link. You're allowed to say it. You don't need to star it out. We're all adults here. Built a Raspberry Pi with Speedify, and I'm happy with your product. originally was quite skeptical. I
That's
tell
great.
you, I think this next release coming out tomorrow should be better. I know you're not complaining. You think it's great. Let me tell you, it could be better. A lot of improvements for that kind of little Linux device.
Yeah, particularly on something like the Raspberry Pi, where we can become CPU limited, and I think will open up a lot more. We haven't done extensive tests yet with the final stuff about what speeds we can have with the Raspberry Pi, but I'm guessing big improvements there, a lot more efficient.
Yeah,
devices like the Raspberry Pi. Yeah.
and the Raspberry Pi 5, it's gonna be awesome. The Raspberry Pi 4 has this funny weakness. It doesn't have any encryption hardware. I mean, if you go to Walmart and buy one of those $30, cheap Android phones, they all have encryption hardware, but somehow the Raspberry Pi didn't. So we're doing all of our encryption software on there. And the Raspberry Pi 5, nice and modern, has real hardware encryption. I think there'll be nothing stopping it from going absolutely full speed. So, like I said, I'm excited, waiting for my Raspberry Pi 5. I ordered it, the day they announced it, but foolishly, I waited hours. I waited hours before placing my order, and that put me way back in the queue because every other nerd ordered at the same time. My Pixel 6 is nice. Yeah, the Pixels are nice phones.
Yeah, I'm happy with them.
All right. When is the next release?
So yeah, we're wrapping it up. It's in final testing now. We're hoping it was going to be today, but I think it looks like it probably won't make it today. So it'll likely end up being tomorrow. Will be the next release. 14.3.0 will be the next release version.
And it really is a lot faster. It depends on the scenario, of course, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think
if you're already getting full speed out of Speedify before, it might not. I mean, you might see lower CPU usage to get those same speeds, but you might not necessarily see, if you're already maxing out your connections that you have.
Raspberry Pi OS 32-bit can use 30% less memory too. I'm not sure if it impacts Speedify performance. I feel like we did some testing, didn't see that big difference.
Yeah, I don't think there should be a big difference.
I mean, given that we're CPU limited and we're moving day long, like we weren't a fast difference actually.
Yeah, I don't remember. It's been a while.
It has been a while.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's some things we use, 32 or 64-bit numbers for and things in the code, but I don't know how much it actually ends up being
All right, one person just texted that we froze up. Let me. Oh, wait, a little bit of line here. Let me. Okay. Oh, little spikes of loss. The
Starlink. Yeah.
Oh, the Starlink.
Yeah, you moved it to primary.
I moved it to primary. Maybe I had it on secondary for a really good reason. There you go. There you go. Maybe Starlink should be secondary. Maybe I'll make that change. But all right. So the person, they're saying TM's question, which maybe you missed part of the answer for, Raspberry Pi OS 32-bit can use 30% less memory. Not sure if it impacts Speedify and performance. It's been a while since we tested, but as we recall, we didn't see much of a speed difference between 32-bit Speedify and 64-bit Speedify.
Yeah. And yeah, depending what connection speeds you have, I mean, if you have relatively low connection speeds that it can comfortably handle, then yeah, it's probably fine to use the 32-bit. If you're trying to max out hundreds of megabits or something, then maybe there'd be a difference there. But...
All right. Speedify, very good.
Thank you.
Love this app. Respect. Hey, we appreciate that. All right. Blame Musk. I think SpaceX is pretty cool. I mean, I'm sitting here in the city of Philadelphia. I don't really need it. Right? I've got Comcast. Fios doesn't come to this block, but it comes to the city. We have really good options, but there are a lot of places. There are ships. airplanes, there are cabins in the mountains where there just is no internet. And now there is, thanks to Starlink. So I'm not actually giving them crap. I'm not blaming them for anything. I mean, I have other options. I'm in a high density place. I just wanted to see what they were doing. You know, what is a Starlink like? How does it affect Speedify? And it did.
And frankly, it's quite amazing what they've been able to accomplish with typically when we think of satellite internet, the latencies they're able to get and the speeds they're able to get. I mean, of course, yeah, you have dropouts here and there, but it's pretty amazing the performance you're able to get out of the satellite internet.
Yep. All right, I think we are at the end here. I'm sure what you're getting at, David. Did you buy and it's still saying 2 gigabytes, or are you just asking for free software?
Yeah. So if you did purchase, I would say make sure that you're logged in with the account that you purchased, and you're still not just on the automatic free account.
I'll show you. So you go to Speedify, you click the, I guess you guys can't quite see there. You click the hamburger, and then where it says account, it'll say free account for you. You can click this, and it'll offer a sign in. So
log in with whatever you purchased with. But yeah, if you're still having trouble, if you really purchased and you're stuck on the free data, reach out at support@speedify.com, and we should be able to help you out, get you fixed up so that you're logged in on your account.
Got any Black Friday deals? Yes. There will be a Black Friday deal. And it's going to be awesome. Yeah, that's a nutshell. I don't think we're announcing it just yet, but there absolutely will be a Black Friday deal. And it'll be good for a few days after Black Friday. I'll admit that. A few hundred days. Well, we'll see. You know, the better a sale is beloved by people, the more likely we are to extend it by a few more days. That's become a joke around here. So, all right. I think that is it. We need to get back to testing Speedify, try and get you guys a new release tomorrow. So thank you, everybody, and see you all online.
Bye.